Skip, let's talk about Cooper Rush. He's undefeated as your starting quarterback. Cowboys, or he's 5-0. He's won 4 straight for the Cowboys this season. Most recently, he led Dallas to that 22-10 win over the Super Bowl champion Rams. Shannon, let's start with you. What percentage of the credit does Cooper Rush deserve for the Cowboys being 4-1?
10.
10, you don't believe that.
10.
Okay.
That's all. You keep talking, I'm going to go down to 5.
I'm talking.
But they're 5 then.
I'm going to keep talking. 5%, says Shannon
Since
Sharp.
Cooper Rush took over, the Cowboys' offense is 16th in scoring. There's 32 teams, so that's middle of the pack. They're 24th in total yards. That's below middle of the pack. They're 26th in passing offense. That's below middle of the pack. They're 27th on third down. But now, in that same time, let me tell you what the Cowboys' defense has done. They're 4th in scoring D, 8th in total yards D, 2nd in sacks, 8th in takeaways. That's why you're winning these games, and these are the points that they've allowed. 17, 16, 10, and 10 in his 4 starts. Can I interest you in that? Let's see, that's 20, 36, 43. So they've given up 43 points. They've given up 10.5 points a game in his 4 starts this year.
In those 4 starts, what's their point differential? Did you ask that of your researcher?
Let's see.
The great Heisman Trophy winner, Steve Owens?
As long, it doesn't matter. As long as you're holding team, if you can't win games and you scoring 10 points.
In that stretch of those 4 starts,
Yeah.
4-0 is the record. Dallas is plus 37 in point differential. That ranks 4th in the NFL.
Yeah.
Isn't that the name of the game, outscoring the opponent?
Yeah, but when the other team can't score with 10, all you got to do is get to 11. And what about takeaways?
Plus
And
37.
what about the scooping scores? Have you gotten into scooping scores?
Yeah.
Have you gotten any big? Okay, so, 10% because he's managing. He's managing. Okay, Skip, we let him order a little stuff, but he's not responsible for the store. So I just want you to know that. I gave him 10%, and because you kept bumping your gums, it's down to 5 now.
5% says
5.
the Hall of Famer.
5, because he...
5%. You know what? I am highly amused by this topic, and I wish I did not have to answer this question.
You got to, though.
I wish the show could just go to commercial right now so I didn't have to talk.
We can't.
Because I don't even want to bring attention to what is actually happening with Cooper Rush and the Cowboys.
He ain't doing much.
Because the world is still sleeping on Cooper Rush. I figure maybe the Eagles are still sleeping on Cooper Rush.
We'll wake him up.
I think they're flying high, and they're so high right now. They're way above Cooper Rush because he's way down there somewhere. This is going to be a cakewalk for the Eagles, or so they think, because it's just Cooper Rush.
It ain't no cakewalk, but...
Shannon Sharp says he's a game manager. Shannon Sharp says he's just going along for the ride. Shannon Sharp says he will turn back into a pumpkin as we approach Halloween.
He's driving a 5-speed. He's driving a 5-speed, and he hadn't got out of first gear yet. Okay,
hasn't gotten out of first gear yet, says the Hall of Famer. So forgive me, Cowboy Nation, but I have to very quietly, I should whisper stats because they're very significant. But I will mention them just in passing, and I'll toss them out in the middle of the table, and then I'm going to scoop them all back up and put them back in my little pouch here to keep like fairy dust in my pocket.
Yeah.
Because we're going to sprinkle fairy dust when we go to Philadelphia on my
look at you talking all. So you talking all big on a Tuesday.
Okay. So let's just quickly review what Cooper Rush actually has accomplished in the National Football League. So he starts off in a game last year on Halloween night, Sunday night stage at Minnesota. He throws for 325 yards, 24 of 40. He throws 40 passes in that game, completes 24 of 40, 2 touchdowns, did throw a pick in that game, but with 51 seconds left, he throws to Amari Cooper a 5-yard touchdown pass that wins the game 20-16. So he came up clutch at the end of the game. And 325 is nothing to sneeze at for a guy starting his first NFL game. So can he throw the ball in the National Football League? I think that proved it right there. So now we go to game number 2, start number 2, which was start number 1 this year, on a big stage game against Cincinnati at Jerry World, defending AFC champs.
The team that's lost 3 games in 5.
And he throws for 235 in that game, a touchdown, no interceptions, because, by the way, in his 4 starts this year, he's done nothing wrong because he has no interceptions, no strip sack fumbles, nothing lost. He's not lost the ball 1 time in 4 games. That will work. See Dak Prescott. Against Cincinnati, with 57 seconds left, he's got it 1st and 10 at his 35, and he hits CD for 8 and Noah Brown for 12 and CD for 10. And all of a sudden, they're in position for a 50-yard field goal, which Brett Maher makes, and they walk off 20-17. So I'm going to repeat. He hit CD with a clutch throw, Noah Brown, big clutch throw, CD clutch throw, throw. He did that. He didn't actually call Amazon and say, could you deliver this football over here to this guy? No, he actually threw it. It left his hand, and it went into CD's hands twice for 8 and 10 yards, and once to Noah Brown for 12 yards. Big clutch, big-time throws on a big national TV stage. And they won the game. Then they go to New York and they fall behind thanks to Saquon finally busting loose, and it's 13-6 Giants. Big Blue is back. Big Blue is red hot. Brian Daboll is going to be coach of the year. Giants are pretty good because they're 4-1 now. And what does Cooper Rush do? He answers with 2 straight drives, 75 and 9 yards, 89 and 11 yards, 2 straight drives to put them back on top. And in those 2 drives, he completes 12 of 13 passes for 129 yards. But he can't throw, and he's only 5% of the equation, says Shannon Sharp, okay? Then Washington bursts out ahead thanks to walk it to
he burst out ahead. It was up 7-6.
7-6.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, the answer man says, I got you. 75 yards in 15 plays, including a 3rd and 8 conversion at the Dallas 35. To Michael Gallup for 15 yards and a 3rd and 6 at the 9 conversion to Michael Gallup for a touchdown that put them back ahead 12-7. They needed him to throw in that game, and he threw for 223 because in that game, Washington was running for 142 to Dallas's 62 yards. So it wasn't a run game for Dallas. They had to throw to win, and they finally broke away because of Cooper Rush's arm. He actually did that. Then we go to the Rams, and this is where everybody got thrown the curveball, which I actually love because we got a strip sack early, we got a block punt early, and all of a sudden it's 9-0, should have been 10-0, but it's 9-0 Dallas. And in a shock to me, we completely shut down the Rams running game, held it to 38 yards.
What do you mean? Everybody shut it down.
Okay, well, again, we can't stop anybody. We came into that game ranked 27th in the NFL in stopping the run. 27th? That's pathetic.
Y'all 27th.
That's like the bad old days.
But they're 30th in rushing.
Okay, well,
so y'all at a plus.
Could have shocked me. I thought Sean McVay would do to me and to us what he did in that playoff game at the Coliseum back after the 2018 season.
He ain't got
ran for 300 yards. Well, he doesn't. Although I like Cam Akers, and every once in a while I like Henderson. I just think they don't have an offensive line. And sometimes, by the way, I'm not sure we have much of an offensive line because Tyler Smith was getting exposed on Sunday.
Well,
am I right?
I mean, Aaron Donald will expose a lot of people if you go one-on-one. Skip, you make some very compelling points. But what you haven't told me is when your defense is giving up more than 17 points.
Okay, they haven't because they're really good. And I told you before the year started, I told you we will go as far as Micah and the Marauders carry us. And we're being carried by Micah and the Marauders. Okay, Shannon, in the end, it's a quarterback's game. Before you go on, can I show you what Ron Rivera said yesterday?
Yeah.
In this actually was a huge shot at Carson Wentz.
Yeah, but I got something for him because we're going to talk about it a little later. I got something for him, too.
All right, well, you can talk about him right now. Let's see what he said.
Why do you think the teams in the division are farther ahead at this point?
Quarterback.
With quarterback, like the Cowboys, for instance, they don't have Dak Prescott this season and still have been able to win.
They started with him,
Dak,
and they build around Dak, and the offense is built around Dak. Their backup's a guy that is very solid inside of what they do. And the truth is that this is a quarterback-driven league. And if you look at the teams that have been able to sustain success, they've been able to build it around a specific quarterback.
Okay, so my point to you is you can't give Cooper Rush 5% when it is a quarterback-driven league.
It is.
You can't win 4 straight games with a backup quarterback who gets only 5% credit because
football team, the Commanders, they have one takeaway. In 5 games, they've taken the ball away. Now, granted, I'm not saying walking to him is a world beater, but he's a far cry. He's not the only reason. How about you guys take the ball away? Yes, he's turned the ball over far too much, but you haven't helped him by creating turnovers for him and giving him a short field. So while Ron Rivera, if I'm not mistaken, isn't Ron Rivera a defensive coach?
he is.
Whoa, so
And
Jack Del Rio.
He was a pretty good one. Certainly in Carolina.
I can't tell.
Yeah.
So while you keep talking about the quarterback, and the quarterback is, Cooper Rush hadn't turned it over at all. Jalen Hurts has turned it over one time. And Daniel Jones has done a better job of taking care of the football. So they go hand in hand. But I'm back to you on our originally scheduled programming. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the Cowboys defense, like the Cowboy offense, was, instead of being 4th in scoring defense, they were 17th. And instead of 8th in total yards, they were 25th. And instead of 2nd in sacks, they were like 20th in sacks. And instead of being 8th in takeaways, they would say like 25th. What do you think Cooper Rush would do then with that? He would not be undefeated.
Okay.
So that's why he got 5.
Okay.
Now you keep talking, I'm going to whittle it down some more.
What do you think would have happened if Ben DiNucci had started these last 4 games? What do you think would have happened? He would have unraveled. He would have thrown 3 picks in one game and 2 picks in another and been strip sacked twice in another, and it would be a disaster. And you know, and I know, they would be 0-5, praying that Dak could play.
You took Ben DiNucci, Skip. You took the guy that had never played in his first career start. He was like a 22, 23-year-old. His first start, you do realize that Cooper Rush was 27. He was 27 in his first start versus the guy that was 23.
Okay. I told you that from the start. He'd been in the system for 6 years. It's why I was the only man left in the world after Dak went down and after stinking it up in the opener against Tom Brady, because Dak was terrible in that game.
Let me ask you, if you don't mind,
But did I not say we're not dead yet? Everybody said we're dead. I said Cooper Rush is pretty good.
Question? How much credit did Jim McMahon get for the 85 Bears? How much credit did Trent Dilfer get for the 2000 Ravens? How much credit did Brad Johnson get for the 02 Bucks? How much credit did Russell Wilson get for the 2012 Seahawks?
Are you telling me that?
I'm just asking you a simple question.
Okay. Are you telling me, I'm asking you one back, is Micah's defense on par with Ray Lewis's defense or Derek Brooks's defense?
Can I ask you, I mean, once you answer my question, I can answer
Or the 85 Bears defense?
I'm asking you.
Lord have mercy. Jim McMahon got a big share of the credit. Jim McMahon was pretty good. Trent Dilfer, not so much.
Skip.
You watched it. You caught passes from Trent Dilfer.
Skip. They don't give our colleague here at Fox TB credit because why? He played with the steel curtain. Even though that man won a Super Bowl MVP and a league MVP.
Okay, go look at Super Bowl 13, what happened. It was Terry Bradshaw's game against my Dallas Cowboys. It's the most talent I've ever seen on one football field at one time. It is loaded with Hall of Famers on both sides of the ball. And Terry Bradshaw rose above that game. Now he's like everybody's favorite uncle, and they can't even envision what he was. He was really good.
He was spectacular. That was my favorite team.
Well, he was the MVP of that game, just throwing it like crazy to Swan and Stallworth.
Yeah, he was a two-time MVP.
Yeah, okay. So he got credit. I don't know.
Not like the steel curtain. They're like, well, look at our Hall of Famers. Look at all the Hall of Famers he's played with. He got Joe Green and Mel Blount and Ham and Lambert and Donnie Shell and Mike Webster and coach this and coach that. Come on. All I'm saying is, Skip, your guy is a guy. That defense is playing unbelievable, and he's having to do marginal work in order for these to turn into victories because he has yet. An opposing team hadn't gotten more than 17 in 5 starts. Most quarterbacks can win games. If your defense is going to play like that, and they've been very good in the red zone, they've been very good at taking the ball away, they've been very good at pressuring your quarterback, and if they don't sack him, they hit him.
You're talking about my defense.
The Cowboys defense.
Well, they lead the league in pressures.
Okay, then.
Okay? I got it. I love it. I told you that. That's all we had. We're not taking the ball away that much. We finally did against the Rams.
Yes.
But we weren't going into the Rams because we were way down at the bottom. We had only 4 takeaways.
But that's more than what you're giving it away.
Okay, but Cooper Rush was not needed against the Rams, and he's got, weirdly, no ego. He does not care. He just wants to win. He doesn't have no
ego. You got to do something to have an ego.
No ego. No ego. He's almost like a cipher. I can't even...
He's just happy to be there.
Read. You know what? I in the end, you have convinced me that Cooper Rush is just a guy. In the end, you have convinced me
as long as you know
that he's going to get exposed sooner than later as an undrafted fraud. You have convinced me we shouldn't even discuss him the rest of the week because he's just a nobody who fell into the right place at the right time and has gone along for a nice ride. That's all he is.
Why you over there bumping him?
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Put 5 on it.
I'm not going to put anything on anything.
Not Cooper Rush.
Okay,
you over there talking about he deserved 85% of the credit.
I didn't say 85. I said 60. That I never got to that, but I give him 60%. No, I'm going to keep all it because this stuff is really hot right here.